and good night. Thank you for joining us on Tobago Updates once more. My name is Edison Thomas, and we are live with another episode of For the Hour. Tonight, I just want to say, invite you from wherever you are into Tobago Update Studios. Tonight, we are elated to have the Tobago public listening to us once more. How was your weekend? I hope you had a great one. And I hope that you enjoyed and took the time to rest and reflect and to re-energize to come to hit it afresh for this week. All right, we're in March, we're in a new month, and we're in the third month of the year already. And I believe, I think that just the other day we were singing Happy New Year, and we blink and we're in March already, and just now we'll blink and we're in the middle of the year, and it will blink again, and it will be the end of the year moving into 2025. That's how fast time is moving in this day and age, folks, right? Sorry to see, but yes, we are all getting older at a much faster pace. But nonetheless, I hope that you have a great month. I hope that you took today, the first productive day of the month, to set yourself right, to set yourself in a mindset or a mood to carry on for the rest of the month in a very efficient manner, as we as good Tobagonians should do, to ensure that we are making the island a better place. Yes, we need to work hard at that. We need to work hard at that. All right. Before I move on, I want to also say, on a serious note, I want to extend some condolences to the families who would have lost loved ones over the weekend. Actually, one of my classmates was one of those persons who graduated the same year as me, and was really saddening to hear his story. I wouldn't go into it, but condolences goes out to his loved ones, his family, his friends. It's not easy when you lose someone, and I consider myself to be young still, right? I want to hear that young at heart. I still young, all right, and he's the same age as I am. And again, when you lose somebody who you consider to be so full of life and had so much to give, still it hurts. And I know for me, it rocked me at my core when I heard the news. So I can't imagine how his family and his friends and his loved ones feel at this time. So condolences going out to him, to his family and his friends and his loved ones. All right. Into what we have to discuss for tonight. We have some stuff to clear up, and I think that we need to delve into it very deeply as it relates to Tobago's business. And on the show, we are always about Tobago's business. And as I say, we mind our business on the show, and I always urge Tobagonians to mind all their business. Sometimes it's good to know what's going on in the world, but it's also even better, right? Multiple times better to know what is going on immediately around you. So keep yourself informed, all right? Recently, we had developments coming out of Tobago that one of our, I would say, one of the most important projects we have going on right now in Tobago has been stopped by the courts due to an injunction that was filed by another party. And that project, I believe, is it's a very needed project. It's an important project, especially for that area, all right? And the problems and issues that we face on that area on a day-to-day basis, all right? And it is really sad to see that there are parties or there are processes and parties that does not see it fit for it to continue to its completion on time and on budget and everything like that. All right, but we have some questions, many questions I have to ask, and we have to get them answered. And I believe the Tobago public wants to get them answered as well. And we're going to speak to one of the only persons tonight who could answer those questions to the Tobago public. And that would be none other than the Secretary for the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, Assemblyman Trevor James. All right, so Mr. James is joining us virtually tonight as a part of our virtually in studio tonight on our vMix platform. Good night, Mr. James. How are you doing?
Good night, sir. Yeah, I'm great tonight. Another long day.
You hear me clearly, right?
I'm hearing you. You're breaking and cracking a little bit, but I'm hearing you.
All right.
I hope you are.
Hopefully something the producers could figure out behind the scenes. But we move on in stride. Welcome to the show, Mr. James. I've had your brothers on many times. As we spoke about many different topics, but I think it's the first time I actually get to speak to you, Mr. James. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and hopefully maybe I can answer some of the questions that you say you have.
Yes. And certainly not only me, but the Tobago public at large has those questions.
That's right.
All right. So the first question I was privy to watching your Facebook Live a couple of days ago, and I must say, for your first time, it was pretty good. You know, we heard everything. You didn't break up. You didn't have to come off and come back on. We heard everything, so it was very good for your first time. All right. Yes. So you raised some issues on this, and you cleared the air on some issues during that live airing, and so some of the questions that I have coming out of that live airing as well. So, or for the persons who might not have had the opportunity to listen to that, right? We have the Friendship Estate road, but it was recently reported that there is a current injunction filed by a party against the completions on the road. I think that the road is near completed, but there is an injunction to stop the progress at this point in time. Can you clear up as to why is there that current injunction?
Like I said in the live, the court is there for all who feel they are aggrieved. In this particular case, one of the part of the estate waited until this time to seek relief of the court on the basis that the works were proceeding without town and country approval.
Mm-hmm.
The EMA CEC that we received stated that we should acquire all statutory approvals before we proceeded. Mm-hmm. At the division, we believed, and the feedback, we believed that as a highways authority under the State Lands Act, that we were exempt from having to acquire approval. We are still of that opinion. However, the agents of the gentleman approached the court, and the court them leave to file an affidavit to prove their case. And we have the opportunity as well to respond. So we are in the process of putting together our response to their affidavit, and we will make that to the court on Wednesday of this week, and hopefully we will be afforded the same opportunity that he had to have an expedited hearing. He went to the court on the 22nd of February and got a hearing in 5 or 6 days.
Right.
And we are hoping that the court will treat us in similar manner, because there is an urgency for this matter to be resolved. Not wanting to criticize the actions of the judge directly, but we believe strongly that the teacher is in the right. We believe that even if we were supposed to have a town country approval, a state project 75% complete with with the risk of commercial cost being added to the project in a case where the remedy, if there is such a remedy to be applied to the project, will not solve the problem of this particular individual. And so we're going to face in different ways. But essentially, that's where we are. We, despite what has been said, we have been agreed. We have acted in consort with the injunction, and we have taken no steps to break the injunction whatsoever, despite the conversation that has been in the public space. People historically who run a lies, and continuation of putting lies in the public, hope that they can either tarnish me personally or tarnish the administration, is to be the political strategy. But we move forward, and we would respond. I will respond as time goes by.
Well, let's just dig a little deeper on why is it the opinion of the THA, or if maybe you could clarify that for me, that the THA does not need tongue and country approval in order to proceed with the project to build the road. I know that that's one of the questions that a lot of us might have. You would have touched a little bit on that, but if you could clear it up for me, why do you think that the THA and the stance of the THA is that we do not need tongue and country approval to execute that project?
Let me just say that differently in case you missed it. We were again, and therefore we proceeded to start the project without town and country planning approval.
Okay.
Not with applied, because at the end of the day, we want the project to be finished. And if the court decides at the end of this matter that town and country approval is required, then we have applied.
Okay.
We believe that the laws, the State Lands Act 5705, gives the THA the same powers as state lands in Trinidad, and THA is in fact the agency for planning developments on state land.
Right.
And not necessarily town and country plan. Under the town country planning provisions, it allows for highway authorities, which the THA infrastructure is, to develop existing roads.
Okay.
And in our CEC, we made that claim that we would develop in an existing road all the cadastral that we have, all the plan proposals that the previous executive council minutes put in place shows clearly that there is a car which we are saying that we can develop.
Okay.
We are developing an existing road, town country planning approval. Okay. It is like Project in Castara. We are responding to an issue. We are developing the road. We had to take down a piece of a hill and a piece of a mountain and new drains and new core walls and so on. We don't need to go to town country planning to say, please just give us permission to do that. We are developing an existing road.
Okay.
And in that context, we believe that it was not necessary.
Okay.
Notwithstanding, we're asking the Tobago public to judge us in the same manner as previous governments. We have a plethora of projects that started for years, some of them for a decade before they got town country approval. Nobody took out an injunction, because at the end of the day, Tobagonians know that we have been starved for development works, and no Tobagonian in their right mind goes to court to stop the state from pursuing a development job that benefits the people of Tobago.
Right.
Maybe because this person is not real Tobagonian, let me quote that for that in quote unquote, that these actions could be done. Because you see, the airport project
Right.
has no building approvals. The building approvals, the structural approvals come to the Division of Infrastructure. None has been submitted to us. The project is going on 3 years. And we've taken a stance and say, why would we go to court to stop that?
Right.
I have been on record. I've been on record throughout the campaign trying to tell Ligonians about this project that we feel is not the best project for them. But I've willfully stayed away from trying to bring the project down. The project a bad name, and internationally, and airlines coming into Tobago and having a government official bringing down a national project. We have taken a stance not to do that, because at the end of the day, even if we believe that the airport project should have been executed by the THA, which we still do, according to the laws of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
Government, PNM to PNM, took that project and decided to carry it out. It will benefit Tobago in some way, and we decided, listen, let's not badmouth it, let's not criticize it, because it potentially puts bad in the way of Tobago now and in the future.
Right.
But there are some Tobagonians who believe that the politics is greater than the people, and we don't share that view.
Right. Okay, I understand that fully. So currently there is a party, I would say, private party, that I believe there was. Well, have you you have identified that party in your life as a squatter, all right? That occupying approximately 50 acres. 50 acres is not no, especially in Tobago, is not no small amount of land. It's a big amount of land, right? And you said that the person would have been there with their livestock and stuff like that. So the question I want to ask is, does that person, are you referring to them as a squatter, but does that person have any rights to the land that they're currently occupying? Does the THE have full rights to use that land for state purposes, I should say? Does that person currently have any rights to that 50 acres of land?
Well, I mean, the courts can decide, obviously, so I can opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The purchase of Friendship Estate came somewhere around 2008, 2009.
Okay.
The then senior state in Tobago encountered problems in trying to acquire the estate by private treaty, meaning that the THA can go and pay cash whoever the estate owner was and buy this estate as how I would buy a piece of land from you.
Mm-hmm.
The land had squatters, different squatters, not only this gentleman, but different squatters, and who might have been there, so the land was going to be encumbered.
Okay.
The law provides that if you acquire the land by compulsory acquisition,
mm-hmm.
that the incumbency goes away.
Okay.
And so she recommended to the Cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago, asked the Cabinet to buy the land under compulsory acquisition, which meant, and the Cabinet did in 2009, which meant that any person occupied the lands up to that time would have had no to the THA. The THA, the land that have been purchased, vested in the THA because the state land in Tobago, and according to the THA Act,
mm-hmm.
that land is vested in the THA. Although the sale is carried out by the Land Commissioner in Trinidad,
okay.
Lands Commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
So the process of acquiring the land through compulsory acquisition meant that if someone was on the land and and felt that they had a claim to part of the land, there's a place in the legislation that allows them to make that claim.
Right.
So we believe that all users of the estate who were there before compulsory acquisition, that their local standard came to naught. If they started squatting again on the estate, the law says that you have to occupy state lands first in order to have a claim.
Okay.
So between 2009, 2010 and now, you can't get 30 years.
Right.
So on that basis, we believe that if the gentleman has a claim or anybody has a claim, then that claim is properly addressed to the Commission of State Lands,
Right.
who made the purchase at the time and who should have settled all the incumbency. And there's a process for that as well in the legislation. So from 2009 to now, on state lands, you cannot have a claim because you've not been there long enough.
Right.
And on that, this is why we believe that if there's a claim to be made, the claim can't be made to the THA.
Okay.
But there's more to that, right? Because you see, when governments remain negligent, we have to deal with these things in the future. And the longer we wait with these things, the more we have to deal with. The government acquired the property, and it was the duty of the P&M government before us to ensure that there was no squatting on the land. Live. Tobagonians are struggling for land to live. Young people like yourself looking for land to live.
Yeah,
and when the THA develops an estate, the most land you will get is a lot of land.
Yeah.
On what basis would the THA or should the THA entertain a squatter for a sizable piece of the estate? It just men have acted expeditiously in the past, and to make sure that the estate was clear of all squatters, and maybe then give this current THA an opportunity to ensure that the land is finally clear and put to the use, the planning use that the state in Tobago, the current THA, will develop for the estate. And we have, before us, had a land use plan up and got passed in Executive Council. We have since come to office and we have varied that plan with a new plan, and we intend to pursue that as quickly as we can.
Could you clear up for Tobagonians the difference between the private acquisition and the compulsory acquisition?
Well, I thought I did that, but private treaty. So the THA went and bought a property at Whim Development, I believe, a lot of land with a house on it.
Right.
And they went to the owner, and the owner wanted to sell it, and they paid him for that, and they bought it.
Okay. Straight.
That's like a normal transaction on a land purchase transaction. The THA went and purchased land.
Right.
The THA went purchased Sanctuary Villas. That's what it is?
Yes.
Sanctuary Villas, but Sanctuary. We treated the THA, went and paid it $24 million and bought the land. Right? In the case of this specific estate, the land was encumbered. You know when you are selling a piece of land, there is a clause in the deed or the sale agreement that says that the land is unencumbered.
Okay.
Because you can't sell a liability.
Okay.
Right? So the owner will settle whomever is on the estate that had claims to the land. When the government bought the land, the owner should have, is understood, settle those claims. Or persons who have claims that felt that the purchaser should settle.
Right.
The process in the Act says that there is a process by which you can make a claim to settle what you feel is. So the legislation came into being to allow the state to acquire lands without encumbrance. So State Land Act gives the state compulsory acquisition, gives the state the opportunity to say, we want this estate for public use.
Right.
We are going to acquire it, and all other owners and claimants and so on that have been there before automatically goes away.
And you
So
would
that's
say,
the difference between the two purchase
okay.
methodology.
And you're saying it will take 32 years?
30 years for a squatter on state land,
right,
to have legal rights.
Okay.
And normally in private land, I think that's 17 years, 16 or 17. If you have a property and someone has been passing through your property and that becomes the road, or someone built a house on your property and they remain there without notice to leave 16, 17 years, then you would in effect have lost that piece of land.
Right.
Because they don't have a right to it.
Right.
An adverse possession, I think is what
possession,
it is.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. You talked about the injunction now has the potential, because of the amount, if a lot of amount of time has lapsed, it has the potential to generate a lot of cost to the THA. All right. Obviously, time is money when it comes to these kind of projects, especially the projects of this magnitude. Time is money, and the longer it goes on, the more cost that it incurs. But I want to. There have been a lot of figures that has been thrown around in this space about how much this project is estimated to cost to Begonians. I just wanted to give you, well, I wanted to ask you to give us some clarity on what the project is going to end up costing to Begonians upon its completion. Well, if everything goes as it as it is, if everything's supposed to go as it's supposed to be, what will be the final cost?
The contract sum, $65 million. And as of now, that's what we're working with. I think the contractor has submitted some claims for delays and so on, which the team at the division should be assessing. But the contract sum, as we stand today, is $65 million. And I just want to respond quickly to a video clip I saw of Mr. Dennis.
No problem.
Where he's saying that the THA sneaks some 25% of that money down to Works Division and to pay the contractor like in the dead of night or something. And he is reminding the administrators and the public servants of all of that. All of that is a lie. And it is mind-blowing that someone can our administrator right now, Twenty Church, he's not going to approve a payment contrary to the regulations.
Right.
Our staff in accounts and so on are hardworking, doing their best, to make sure that they can pay the liabilities that we have according to the regulations. And it's mind-blowing that Mr. Dennis can just outright tell these lies. The contract we have with California Co requires that we pay a percentage of the sum 9 months after completion. We have expended so far $0 on this project. We have paid $0 on this project. And we are doing our best to ensure that we bring the project in on the budget, on the contract sum that we designed the project for, barring variations and so on. And those are just the facts.
Right. In your life, you had said that there are many that the opposition, I should call them. I don't want to call party names, but the opposition is currently using every state entity to kind of obstruct key projects that the division is trying to carry out, and other divisions as well is trying to carry out for the benefit of Tobagonians. One of those would be the Environmental Management Agency, the EMA. And you mentioned that the EMA also had tried to obstruct. What is the obstruction that the EMA had tried to put in the division's way to completing this project?
Well, listen, the state agent, the THA is responsible for all of Tobago. We came to office and we met what we felt
Producers are not hearing him in my headset.
All right, so we came to office, if you hear me now.
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
We came to office and we met what we felt was precedents of how the THA and the Environmental Management Agency acted with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, barring one development project that we are able to find, every single project executed by the THA took more than 6 months before they even applied for a CEC.
Okay.
Took more than 6 months, in some cases a year, in some cases years before they applied or got approval or got a CEC granted by the EMA. That is what we met. And we felt that together with the EMA, we could have sat down and let the project go forward and discuss this matter. And the EMA decided to go to court. That for us is a strange thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can name some of them, Bell Garden Development. Mm-hmm. Started long before. I don't have the figures. I wish I could have shared that with you, but I will probably share that on Thursday night on Facebook.
Okay.
Bell Garden Development, Blemen Development, Castara Development, Castara Fisherman Facility, Scotland Development, mm-hmm. all the big projects. Some of them were refused. The jetty in Roxborough got a refusal from the EMA.
Wow.
And the EMA still did not take action to take an injunction against the works. Mm-hmm. This is for the most part PNM in Tobago and PNM in Trinidad, and the EMA acting in a particular way.
Right.
We built a little labor in Scarborough, which is being used by everybody. No heritage and all this business with the oil spill. That's the staging area.
Right.
There are moves now to prevent, by the EMA, I am told, there are moves now to try to prevent Tobagonians from using that area in the future, because in their mind, we do not get approval for it.
Right.
I mean, it is Tobagonians have to get to the place where they begin to realize that the party that was in government before, their only concern is to stop development in Tobago. They have spent decades in office in Tobago, and you can barely count the development projects that they have done. And so a new administration has come in, and we are trying to do development works despite the budgetary constraints. And that somehow has resulted in this kind of response that is un-Tobagonian. And we're asking the Tobago public to be clear to understand what that means for you. First, they starve you of monies through the budget, and then they use all the statutory agencies to halt what your government that you voted for and who go to the Executive Council, develop a policy position, and they want to stop us from even doing that.
All right.
We have as an annex to this whole business of Mr. Gonzalez as Minister of Public Utilities coming to Tobago and taking blame for some of the trauma that WASA has caused in the road, saying publicly that the major traumas that he has seen on the road are caused by WASA. And intending from Trinidad to repair roads in Tobago without our express approval, the law clearly says that that's the responsibility of the THA.
Of the THA, right.
And we have Tobagonians who yet has not come to the understanding that the little powers, quote unquote, powers that we have under the Act continues to be eroded from Port of Spain. And people support that. At the end of the day, we are going to have an Act with no authority vested in the THA because by precedent, you allow these things to happen. And we have to be very careful as to do. I have brought this to the public, and I'm asking the Tobagonians to be judge and jury on these matters. Should we allow the government in Port of Spain to break the THA Act for some small favor? And we get a little benefit now, and we lose everything we have fought for. Robinson almost died for in the House because PNM people vexed that Tobagonians vote against them.
Right. You just spoke about the Memorandum of Understanding. Well, you just reference it. You reference WASA, you reference Mr. Gonzalez. Coming to Tobago to take blame for the deplorable roads in Tobago. As most Tobagonians know, potholes generally in Tobago happen because of two reasons. One WASA road works, and two, USAN road stress wearing down the roads over time, right? So recently, Mr. Gonzalez would have came to Tobago, and he would have came right here in Tobago Updates, and he would have expressed that WASA is to blame for some of the potholes, if not most of the potholes. You would have brought up that there was a memorandum of understanding that the division had with WASA in order to undergo the repairing of the road when WASA complete the works. And that memorandum of understanding has since come to a close, but it has not been renewed. Can you share some clarity on where negotiations are at this point with that memorandum of understanding with WASA?
We came to office, it's a known fact that the Division of Infrastructure and WASA has had this arrangement. The memorandum, the MOU expired, and in early 2022, I called Mr. Williams, the secretary for Mr. Williams of WASA.
Mr. Williams, what post Mr. Williams holds in WASA?
He's head of WASA today.
Okay.
Brian Williams. I requested a meeting with him. He came with his staff. I called the Secretary of Settlements and Public Utilities, and we all met in our office, and we tried to negotiate how we could expedite the signing of a new MOU. We went back and forth with the MOU. That was 2022. That MOU, despite what Mr. Williams is now saying, he told us, and we have minutes of the meeting where he told us that MOU is with WASA Legal, waiting on WASA Legal to sign off on.
Oh, okay.
Under the and maybe I'll put it up in the public space as well. Under the MOU, WASA creates this fund, and the Division of Infrastructure draws down on this fund because the division is the entity with the expertise in road maintenance and road repair, not WASA.
And the administration authority.
And the administration authority as well.
Yeah.
And all WASA need to do is to sign off on an MOU that is 2 years ago. And willfully holding it back because, again, it's an opportunity to not have the administration perform. Remember we came to office and we started patching roads from year one.
Right.
In Tobago, I've never seen so much patches on roads in the first year of our administration all over the country. And apparently that action as well got to them. It's like everything we do that's good, they try to find a way to pull it down for some political benefit. But the facts are that we started repairing roads, patching roads in a major way since we came to office in 2022. And WASA has not negotiated in a way that will have the MOU signed.
Right.
And the minister is now coming and being supported like people like Ansel Dennis to say, listen, don't sign that MOU. You come and do it. Take back the responsibility. You are the minister of works. You are the minister of whatever for Trinidad and Tobago. You could do what you want. You could come to Tobago and build a road. You could come to Tobago and take all the responsibility from the THA and do it from Trinidad. And we say no to that, and we ask the public, we don't have the money to fight them. I heard him on the TV tonight saying that he will fight with all the resources that he has of the ministry and so on. We don't have the money to fight them, but we will certainly pursue an injunction if he continues in that action. And wherever it goes, our biggest fight is in the public. We can't fight the government. We can't fight the court system. And our fight is to bring our actions and our intent and our policies to the public and have the public be the judge, because we have struggled in Tobago for self-determination, for the ability to create our own path, to follow where we want to go. And we this new generation of Tobago politicians will not back down on that threat from Trinidad. We just won't back down.
Right. Now, where WASA faults and WASA does not fulfill their responsibility or fulfill their responsibility to provide the funding for the roads that they damaged. What does then happen to the fixing of those roads, right? Is it that the THA would be able to, or has the resources to, fix the roads on its own, or does that MOU need to happen in order for those roads to be maintained after after WASA takes those actions and digs up the road for maintenance works?
Well, at the end of the day, the THA is responsible for road repair, and we have repaired many of WASA's openings that they have created, and we continue to do that within the resources that we have. Obviously, we implore the public to appreciate the limitedness of the resources that we have and to bear with us as we attempt to fix these trauma that WASA create on the road. But we want to be sure that the public is understanding that this lack of resources is a WASA problem that we are fixing.
Right.
The public utilities is in the 5th schedule, and the governments in Trinidad over the years have decided that they are not giving that authority to Tobago. The law seems to require that public utilities like WASA and TNTEC, the two big arm of it, be divested to the THA. That's what the law seems to say. And despite that being passed in the parliament and so on, successive governments in Trinidad refuses to divest them, and provide the resources to the THA to properly manage this thing. It's always much better for management to take place closer to the action, closer to the ground. Right. And therefore, what is the problem in giving the THA the responsibility that the law says the THA should have in the first place? But like, to answer your question directly, we will do all that we can within the resources that we have to ensure that we are bringing repairs and maintenance to the roads, so the Tobago traveling public can ride on better roads and people can save their shocks and their front ends and whatever else they have to save.
Oh,
yeah. Because we are coming into government and we have inherited aging asphalt. We've inherited aging infrastructure. WASA lines have not changed in Tobago since the 1960s, I believe. So we expect that there would be breakage and leakage and so on. And we believe that it is not unreasonable. Matter of fact, it is very reasonable for WASA to come to terms with us and have us work together to ensure that the public is benefited. If the minister and the prime minister believes that they must break the tenets of the THA Act and come to Tobago and carry out public works in Tobago, then in the first instance, we want to alert the public to that. And we want to ask the public to decide whether we should all in Tobago abandon the THA Act and be managed from Trinidad.
Right.
And I'm sure that question will be answered in the negative.
No, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Right? Mr. Dennis would have brought up circling back to the Friendship Estate Road now. So Mr. Dennis would have brought up, under the current arrangement with the design being finance that we had, you stated with California Co, that there is no plans or currently concrete plans that governs the road, and it would have just been a bill as you go kind of thing. So I wanted because I know that under the design build finance methodology, it would allow for certain things to happen in terms of what the execution and the design of it goes, right? So I wanted to clear that up, that point from Mr. Dennis in terms of the fact that not the fact, but he thinks that is a build as you go kind of thing, and it is an ad hoc kind of thing.
Well, I don't want to badmouth Mr. Dennis, but Mr. Dennis clearly does not understand procurement and doesn't understand why client entities choose different procurement methodologies to execute projects. So let me start with a current project that the government of Trinidad and Tobago is executing now in Tobago. The airport construction project is a design build project. The government is paying for it, but it's a design build. Mm-hmm. The two major reasons why clients go design build. One is that you want to create a single point of responsibility. So the designer is the constructor, and therefore through that process you minimize variations. You minimize buildability issues, where an architect designs something and then the contractor say that I can't build that, I can't build it in this way, and they have to change the design and he claims a variation. Design build is meant to solve that. Design build as well is meant to shorten the duration of projects. So you have a situation where the designer is the contractor, and because of that fact, the contractor can start with partial designs because he knows where he's going.
Okay.
The airport project is a prime example of that. The hospital project was a prime example of that as well. The final designs for the airport was only finished late last year.
Right. And the airport started way before.
Airport has started two and a half years before that, 3 years maybe. Doesn't go into town country planning yet.
Right.
You understand? Gotcha. And the airport is progressing because it's a design build project. And so how do I respond to someone who says it's ad hoc? Right. Are you saying that every project that's executed design build is ad hoc designing? That is not the case. And again is an attempt by Ansel to lie his way into public favor. It's just not based on reality and on fact. The project at Friendship is a design build finance project. It allows us to shorten the duration of the project. That is why we can be where we are today. If you compare where we have gotten on that project, despite having 3 months of stoppage and the contractor delaying another 2 months to restart, If you can imagine where we are in essentially 3 or 4 months of work, you begin to see the benefit of design build finance. And it is the speed at which we are going that is causing this mental trauma in Ansel's head, and where he believes, boy, oh gosh, I have to stop this thing, because if them fellas finish this thing so fast, we dogs dead in Tobago in a couple years time. And so I have pity on him, but don't come to the public and just lie. If you don't understand, oh gosh, call somebody who you know and ask a question before you come to the public and say these kinds of foolishness.
I will give you the floor to clear up, because there are many questions that are asked about the procurement procedure as to awarding the contract to California Co. All right.
Well,
and so I would give you the floor to kind of clear that up on generally how those contracts are awarded, in terms of, because some persons would have said it was Soul Select and this and that. So I wouldn't give my more liberty in terms of it. I will give you the floor as the secretary to clear up the procurement methodology to award that contract to California Co.
let me say up front that we have awarded only one project by Soul Select, and that was the consultant for the Scarborough redevelopment project. Every other project has been either open tender or selective tender.
Okay.
We came to office and we met at the division a situation where I can't even count the number of projects. Almost every single project was Soul selected. I'm talking $500-600 million worth of projects.
Okay.
Soul selected. I presented on Facebook last week just the project at Cove and Sherburne. 4 contractors, Soul selected by Ansel. So we met that at the division and we took a decision that we won't go that route. And we brought in procurement people even before the procurement legislation was assented to. We brought in procurement people, and we put in place a procurement system to ensure that every project was tendered professionally, and every project, barring that one that I mentioned, was at least selective tendering.
Right.
Example of that, we had projects that were open tender, that Parks International won, despite the conversation and the old talk in the public. We've had projects that were open tender that Parks International won. You could not point out one project that the PNM did that was open tender, not one.
Okay.
In the entire 22 years or 21 years in office, you cannot point out one single project in 20 years that the PNM had an open tender.
All right.
That just speaks for itself.
Right. But you're saying the one that is currently under question for California Co, that would have been selective tender, open tender. Which one would
selective
it have been?
Tender, it was tendered twice. It was tendered the first time, and the person who won the tender decided to pull out for whatever reasons. It was re-tendered again, and it was awarded on second tender.
Okay.
Against selective tender.
Okay.
If there is any example of transparency, it is that.
Okay. All right. So the secretary cleared that up for us, and I show that if anybody needs to see documentation for that, he could provide that. It was selective tender. So that has been cleared up. Thanks for clearing that up for us, Mr. Secretary. Now, you've just mentioned the works that was being carried out at Milford, at Sherv and Co, Shervan Estate and the Co, that would have been carried out by the previous administration. On your Facebook page, you would have posted some executive council minutes dated October 20th, 2020, concerning some cost overruns by the previous administration, I think then headed by Mr. Dennis, to the cost of 111 million TT dollars, an overage of quite a bit, because I'm seeing here it would have been an overage from 25 million.
Remember the government again wanted to build the airport,
right?
And the government gave the THA $25 million to do these projects for the persons who would have been lost their lands and so on from the airport construction.
Okay.
The government estimated that would cost $25 million.
Okay.
All I am saying is that if the government $25 million was used, it would have cost each plot of land, and we're talking big plot and small plot.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter the size of the plot. If we went to square foot, it would be worse. I heard somebody on Facebook saying, well, why you get a square foot price? It would be absolutely worse. Mm-hmm. Each plot of land would have cost the THA to develop, I think, $200 and something thousand.
Right.
The administration under Mr. Dennis, in quite questionable circumstances, went to the executive council and increased that cost twice to get to $111+ million. When we came to office, and by sole select,
by sole select,
they select the contractor, they select the consultant, they select a surveyor. Mm-hmm. It's all crazy. Mm-hmm. And they try to build a project, right? When we came to office, the main contractor, all his payment were up to date.
Right.
We came to office, and I instructed that his last claim for $4.1 million be paid, because we wanted the project to be completed.
Right.
After we paid that $4.1 million, the contractor essentially abandoned the job.
So the job is incomplete.
Job is incomplete. We now have to try to get people to build houses for people down there. Mm-hmm. We have to try to help and try to finish the project ourselves, pay off Tiantec ourselves, and bring power to the Cove side, and try to find a way now to run that force main down to Golden Grove, so that people on the Sylvan side could have a sewer system, or to move to some in-lot system. This is on a project that was given to people, that all the payments were up to date.
Right.
And they still walk off and leave the project as it is. After the government promised the people that they're gonna pay rent for 6 months, and they would get the property.
Right.
3 years going, and the people, to Begonians like ourselves, and when the chief secretary goes and meet with them and try to negotiate and things, and still saying how chief secretaries don't do that. But we have demonstrated to the public that we are a caring government.
Right.
The boss, the THA of the chief secretary, comes and meets with the people, and we try to consult and develop a solution for them. And so we took the opportunity, we took the decision at the executive council to build some houses for people, and according to the chief secretary's words, to give them at a peppercorn rate.
Right.
Because we want to be sure that to the Begonians who've lost their money, who've paid rent for the last 3 years, are not coming now to have to buy another property when the money they collect from their property in Crown Point, Bon Accord, has now
finished and used up.
And used up in rent. Mm-hmm. And so we are now trying to build a solution for them. And if that is not caring, if that doesn't deserve commendation, then I don't know what does. Right. You know?
Well, I would say that is quite noble of the government to do. But we I would have to call it because we have run out of time. Obviously, I hope that many of the questions Tobagonians needed to have answered were indeed answered tonight by you, Mr. James. I want to thank you for taking your time out of busy schedule. I know that you wasn't able to be with us in studio tonight. Maybe next time, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, you could be next to me in studio and we could be talking and having a chat just like when your brothers come, right? But I want to thank you so much for taking time out of busy schedule for clearing the air and answering those questions for us. Tobagonians, I want to continue to implore you, mind your business. It is very imperative that you are aware, right, of what is going on in Tobago. Ask the right questions and ask the right people, okay? And it is of my hope that this project, for the sake of all Tobagonians, that this project is allowed to move on, mature, and complete in a good time, so that it comes in within budget, all right, and also within quality, so that Tobagonians can get the best benefit overall, all right? Again, I want to thank you, Mr. James, for coming out. But until next week, Tobagonians, mind your business. My name is Edison Thomas. Have a good night. We'll see you next week.